If tomorrow I tell
YouTube,
that like
some noobs
will get shot, or
an entire team
will be blowing up, nobody panics. But when I say that one little old
VPO squad
will die, well then everyone loses their minds.
Hello! I am Aoyalaipe, and I like to hop into top tier matches in War Thunder and then personally kill the entire enemy team by myself. Welcome to my channel. I'm just queuing into this match. So anyways, I've noticed that the Kafir C10 is proving to be an extremely popular plane. It's the new event vehicle. However, most of these shiny new Kafir C10 players, they kinda suck. Even though I made a video last week explaining exactly how to fly it. So I figured a follow-up was in order, a little bit of remedial education, so to speak. And so on the other team, there's a 4-man VPO kill squad that volunteered to help me demonstrate how to push this plane to its limits. Or I mean, volunteered might not be the right word there. It's actually more like the opposite of that word. Anyways, if you're new here, VPO is one of the major squadrons that runs the insane world of TTAA, top tier air-arcaded. We have a bit of beef because VPO likes to send out squads of elite players coordinating voice comms to gank lobbies, but I like to turn the tables and sneak around killing those VPO squads by myself and then put it on YouTube. Makes great content, guaranteed to be funny every time. Now, first things first, I'd like to thank my super thanksers Crow987, Snowmarie55, and Ducky Yandere, and give an extra thanks to Supreme Taboo, who gave me $50, which I thought was insane until N7 Warhound gave me $200, which I thought was insane until Rust Thunder gave me $400 in a YouTube comment. So I'm just gonna put his name over here under the Comic Sans kill counter for the rest of this video, I guess. I do not know how or why I wound up with fans that decide to have a give Aoyalaipe money contest, but I'm definitely not gonna stop you. High scores were made to be broken. Rust Thunder has the high score. Alright, so how about we start with the tactics? So, as this VPO player in that MiG-29 is about to demonstrate, the Kafir C10 has just mad ninja skills when it comes to dodging missiles in close quarters. This thing has crazy agility, but terrible energy retention, and I really explained how to make that combination work in my previous video. A lot of players struggle with it. And next up, we have a random message from fellow YouTuber Draconix DG, whose DM was accidentally picked up by my recording after I forgot I had disabled streamer mode in Discord. He's a chill guy. I have actually done a few collabs with him on his channel. I'll link them in the description. He was laughing at this picture in case you were curious what he was laughing at. It's a very easy way to remember how target speed and bearing affects missile closing speed and range. I don't know what to say. Now, ninja skills aside, the main tactical change from the previous video comes from the missile, the derby, how I use the missiles on this thing. There's a night and day performance difference with the derby when you hard lock with this thing. So in the previous video, hard locking was something I only did if I had a really good reason to do it. But after more experimenting, it's now something I basically always do with the Kafir C10 unless I have a decent reason not to. So the derbies are a really good Fox 1 missile and a bad Fox 3 missile, but you can basically switch between Fox 1 and Fox 3 all you want when the situation calls for it. And a bad Fox 3 is still a pretty decent missile. So it's a really unique experience, and the way the missiles work is one of the main things most players would miss about this plane. So like this next VPO player to die right here, I snipe him from a really long range. A derby probably wouldn't have hit an experienced player from that far away if I hadn't hard locked it. Any other Fox 3 would be no problem. Now let's move over to strategy, and well, my decoy squadron for this video is LGBTV. Yeah, again, I filmed this right after I edited my last video, but before I uploaded it, so I hadn't burned that cover yet. If you're new here, it can be hard for VPO, Intra, Good, or Covert, who are the 4 main TTA squadrons, to ever know for sure whether or not I'm in their lobby, because I surf through a series of burner squadrons while disguising my name with stream mode, plus Gaijin gives me test drive so I can be in literally any plane in the game. And for good measure, I had a bunch of fans turn on stream mode as well, which you can do by going here and clicking this button. So they can disguise themselves as me disguising myself while I'm actually disguising myself as something else. And if you're confused, good, because as Sun Tzu once said, all War Thunder is deception. It's basically a lying game that also lets you fly planes. I love it. Now, if you're thinking, hey, how is all of that fair? It's not. There's 4 of them, and they have voice comms. Oh, and if you wanted a good example of how to use trees dodge missiles, which is a thing I mentioned in my last video, here's one right here. Speaking of espionage, in my last video on VPO, I showed you some leaked messages from VPO's Discord server complaining about me making fun of them. And as it turns out, VPO was pretty annoyed by this, but thankfully, they don't have to worry about leaks anymore because they kicked the guy who's leaking this stuff to me. Or at least they did according to these messages that were then leaked again by my original source. VPO may still have some work to do here, actually. I think they got the wrong guy. Anyway, anyways, as you see here, I tried to run back to my airfield to take cover while I was reloading, but a VPO guy was circling in the clouds above my airfield, so I instead outran his missile, which the Kafir can easily do. It's really fast. Like, if someone fires an AIM-9 anything you from like 3 kilometers away and you're going full speed, it's almost certainly not going to hit you. If it's a rear aspect shot, at least. Right, so now instead of reloading in peace at my airfield, I will instead use my time reloading to circle around, climb, and set up a kill on that VPO guy, and I'll be ready when my missiles are up. However, rather than seeing that VPO guy, I instead see some random F-105 player who's just trying to bomb in peace. So obviously he's gonna die first. You know, I don't need random targets cluttering my minimap while I'm trying to fight VPO, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get him out of the way. Now, this VPO guy realizes he probably shouldn't have taken a pot shot at me because now I want him dead, and he's trying to make a run for it. But he's trying to run along the deserted eastern area of this map, and that's a bad choice because it deprives him of any potential support that he could seek to get me off his tail, like third-party intervention to get him off my tail. So all I have to do is I can start taking hardlock derby shots at him. Now, this is an extremely long-range rear aspect shot for a derby. These missiles almost certainly won't hit him, but he has to evade the missile. So if I do that once or twice to him, it'll slow him down enough that he will come within the derby's ideal range. I'm basically energy trapping him with missiles and then killing him with another missile. And his altitude is so high that if he ever tries to dive for the safety of the hills, I can just cut the corridor and kill him before he ever reaches them. One thing I didn't mention in the last video is that the Kafir climbs crazy stupid well. However, you shouldn't climb at the start unless you really know what you're doing, but once you've taken out all the other Fox 3 jets, then yeah, you can absolutely climb if you want to. And the tactics you use to survive up at altitude once you've taken out all the Fox 3 jets would actually be almost identical to the ones described in my video on the Kafir C7, which is a different variant of this jet with different weapons. Anyways, we can now see that VPOs almost immediately turn the tables on me. I am now the one being chased by one of the other VPO players. So I make sure to hit the deck while there's still time and weave through the hills for cover while I work my way towards teammates that are gonna third party this guy. And yep, they got him. And this thing can outrun a MiG-23 because again, it's a Kafir, it's really, really fast. And as I mentioned in my last video on this plane, if you have a very fast plane, you can use it to get yourself a mad positioning advantage, and that's exactly what I always do when I fly this thing. That's how I got that guy. Or I guess I got that guy I got that guy to not get me by getting him got by someone else. Welcome to Top Tier Arcade. This is how stuff works here. Oh, and just to be clear about something, I don't actually have spies in VPO's Discord server. Instead, my channel has just been around long enough that a pretty decent chunk of VPO's recruits are players who originally got interested in TTA by watching my videos. And so some of them will just send me screenshots whenever VPO complains about me. And I'm not gonna say no, especially if what they sent me was funny. Hey, those innocent VPO players were just trying to gank some poor lobbies in peace. And then Aoyalaipe flies out of nowhere and killed all of our VPO guys. How's that fair? That's not fair. Oh, and as you can see, there's a few VPO players over there, and like I don't want to get stuck amongst them when I only have one missile left, so I'm actually going to turn around and fly right towards friendly teammates before they have a chance to shoot at me, and if they follow me, they'll get third party. Positioning for the win. Oh, and this right here is a good example of how to use hard locking on a derby. I hard lock a VPO F4 Phantom from a range and angle that's okay for a hard lock, but a pretty dicey range and angle without it. But I won't be able to maintain my lock all the way there, as it turns out I was planning to, but I wound up not being able to. Still, guiding a derby most of the way to the target with hard locking will give you most of the benefit of hard locking. So it still hits him, and I get kill credit, even though if I had never hard locked him in the first place, it almost certainly would not have hit him. Oh, and I got something else that's funny to mention. Fun fact, I know of at least one Squadron player that I dunked on in a video who had originally gone into TTA in the first place by watching videos of me dunking on Squadron players. And like, if that isn't fair warning, I don't know what is. I certainly understand why enemy Squadron players will tell each other that someday they're gonna get clipped by Aoyalaipe, like some sort of scary bedtime story. And yes, he did spell Aoyalaipe right. But now I bring you to the coolest moment of the video. They finally managed to get me in a really interesting way. I mean, this was right as the match was ending, so it was a bit late, it didn't really affect the game at all, but still, let me show you this replay. Seriously, half the point of making this video was that this was such a cool vertical ambush that I just had to show it to you. Like, I show you all sorts of ambushes, but it's always me doing it. You know, it's nice to see someone else's flavor added to it. So this here is VPO player 6-gun, and to do this, he's going to exploit the max range of the spotting mechanic. So the way spotting works in this game is that if an enemy player spots you, your position is reported to the entire enemy team. Even if they're behind a hill or inside a cloud or 100 miles away or whatever, and they have no way to see themselves, if an enemy player spots you, the guy 100 miles away in a cloud behind a hill will know where you are. However, you can only be spotted by an enemy player that is at most 10 kilometers away from you and has a clear line of sight. It varies a little bit with crew training and direction you're looking, but it caps out at 10 kilometers. That's the detection max range, basically. Now, 6-gun knows where my teammates, seen in red here, are, because he has teammates nearby there spotting them for him. He's not spotting them directly, but he knows where they are because someone else has spotted them. So he's going to climb, and as you can see, he's going to just barely skirt the edge of the detection radius of all of my teammates. He's going to be just over 10 kilometers away from them. That means he can see them, but none of them can see him unless they happen to literally see his tiny little pixelable plane from all that distance away, and then even then they don't spot it for other people, it's just for themselves. Now, at this point, I'm reloading over my own airfield because AAA cover is OP. My assumption is that any incoming enemy player will have to at least be briefly spotted by either me or one of my teammates, given how many teammates are around. So I figured all I had to do was to watch the map for brief glimpses of enemy players. That's why I check the map so often. However, I was the only player within 10 kilometers of 6 guns. I was way off on the edge of the airfield. But I couldn't see him either because there was a cloud in the way. So when I reloaded and returned to the fight, there was a window where you could dive down and ambush me. I thought that was so cool. That dude threw my own BS ambush tactics right back in my face, and he did it really, really well. But hey, you know, at least I got more kills than the entire 4-man VPO kill squad put together with room to spare. So I guess I can't really dunk on them, but it was still a pretty okay match, all things considered. Anyways, here's my previous Kafir C10 video if you want to see more educational shenanigans with this plane. And don't forget to like and comment to feed the algorithm, and if you subscribe and ring the bell, you won't need to remember how to spell it next time you want to watch one of my videos.